Hi, folks. It's Lori Hollander.
And Bob Hollander.
And we are going to do something a little different today because Bob and I are attending a conference called Psychotherapy Networking Symposium.
Right.
And this is a humongous 4-day conference with therapists from all over. There's so much empathy, Bob, in this hotel. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Empathy, and what's wonderful is that you could be vulnerable and open.
Yes.
And feel more authentic.
That's correct, because we're with all these therapists.
Just so accepting, and helps you accept yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a great day. Bob and I took separate seminars today, and we're learning from the masters. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I learned today. My teacher today was Tim Desmond. He is a psychotherapist, and he is also a trainee of what is Master Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh from Vietnam.
Thich Nhat Hanh?
Thich Nhat Hanh, yeah.
He is a Zen master, and the guy who was my teacher today, Tim Desmond, has studied with him for many years. Yeah. And he also is a scholar at Antioch University, Bob, in New England.
Not quite Rutgers, but pretty good.
And he's lectured at Yale, on self-compassion and mindfulness.
I give up.
So I took a wonderful workshop. Yeah. It was fascinating on the intersection between self-compassion and neuroscience. So it was two different positions he was coming from. So I wanted to share some of my notes with you, so excuse me if I'm looking down. One of the things he said, which I thought was fascinating, it's not how your past is impacting you now, because your past is gone. It's the way the experience is stored or encoded in your brain. And that is something that you can change. Isn't that interesting?
I need to hear more.
Yeah. So here's what he said, and Tim has written books. One of them is, what is it called? Self-Compassion in Psychotherapy. And the other one is a skills workbook, which I purchased, and will be bringing back.
Right.
He talks about a map to self-compassion. And he really went over the neuroscience of compassion and said there are 7 circuits in the brain, like 7 codes or and
pathways, maybe?
Pathways. Thank you. 7 basic emotional circuits. The first is a positive one, which involves care and play. And by care, he meant empathy, and play, he meant humor. The next circuit is a negative one, which encompasses fear, grief, and rage.
I have that one down.
You think?
Yes.
And then
smooth sailing.
The third one was a neutral, which was seeking, which means motivation and being motivated to do things, and lust, which is sex drive.
Okay. Go on.
Okay. So those are the circuits, and he talked about that we can train ourselves to be more compassionate to ourselves, and it will decrease the suffering that we have in our minds.
And
helps regulate the emotions.
Yeah, I think when I'm feeling beaten up, most of it's done by me.
That's right.
Not you?
Yes.
Me.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So he talked about neuroplasticity, which means that the brain, when you have a memory and you're thinking about something, I'm hitting the bed?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's not an earthquake here in Washington, D.C. It's Lori making a point.
When you have a memory, right then and there, it's a labile thought, which means you have access to change the way you feel about that thought. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And so he said, and in his training, what he does with clients and what he asks us to practice is to think of a negative thought, something that causes us suffering, and we all have things that cause us to suffer. And then he says you want to pair it with a one of those positive circuits, meaning caring. So he talks about sending messages of love and compassion to our suffering. And that when we pair those, that it changes the way the brain thinks about those memories and actually physiologically, and they've studied this, decreases the stress. And they've done brain imaging to show that this is how it works. So it was really fascinating.
So if I disagree with this, you could show me the hard evidence.
Oh, no, I will. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So you're so disagreeable.
No, I just have to wonder about I need to learn more about that.
Yes, because he wasn't in this workshop.
I wasn't.
Right?
I wasn't. So I'm completely ignorant about what he's saying. So I'm going to hold off my
your comments.
Dubiousness.
Okay.
But it sounds really fascinating.
Yeah. So we will do another one of these videos and keep letting you know what we're learning. And after the conference, we'll get back to our question and answer Q&A Thursday. Take care, folks.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.